Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric, and in this video I'm ranking the top 10 most perfect roller coasters. What does this mean? Well, it is not the best roller coasters in the world, it is the roller coasters that have the least flaws, and the ones I would change the least about if I were to improve them, if you will. So it's not going to just be the best roller coasters. For example, my personal favorite roller coaster, Iron Gwazi, is not on here due to the restraints. So this is going to be a bit of a different one. Roller coasters that kind of play it safer to some degree might be on here and you might be surprised. But I just want to talk about the roller coasters I think were really masterfully designed and every aspect is taken into account in a way that I wouldn't change anything about them. So we're going to jump right in. Number 10 is Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. This B&M flying coaster is fantastic. The presentation is on another level. The water splash part is iconic. And the elements are a great mix of graceful and intense. There's another kind of similar ride I'll get to later, but this one definitely earns a high spot for the pretty good twists, and of course, the inversion that tries to kill you, takes your head off, all that. Very fun. Manta is just an excellent roller coaster, and honestly, just one of my favorites out there. Probably still top 30 or so. Number 9 is Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. I'm not taking operations into account here, so that's why I can still get a pretty good spot. The ride doesn't technically have the most impressive theming or anything, but it is an awesome ride. Really well rounded, with a great mix of having insane airtime and a really strong sense of speed. There are parts that are not insanely fast per se, or it slows down for turnarounds, but that can be expected of many wooden coasters, so as far as layouts like that go, I would definitely say Ghost Rider is the best of the best, and probably my favorite wooden roller coaster of all time. Number 8 is Diamondback at Kings Island. B&M Hypers are pretty close to perfect rides because there's nothing I would change about them. They have the speed, but they also have the iconic floater airtime. And to an extent, some, such as Diamondback, have ejector moments. Diamondback also gets points for its excellent presentation. The water splash in particular is a wonderful moment, and I like that it kind of goes into a forest. I just very much enjoy it. It is my personal favorite B&M Hyper, and I don't think there's really anything I'd change about it. There can technically be a rattle sometimes, I will admit, but most times it's smooth. So Diamondback is pretty much a flawless roller coaster. Number 7 is Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. I did just say that I prefer Diamondback, but I do think Mako has less flaws. First of all, it is just as smooth, but it also has a layout that just seems to work a bit better for being a well-rounded coaster. The ejector stuff works better at the end of the ride, and that second half is honestly insanely underrated. Not to mention the presentation is even better, the way you go over the main lake of SeaWorld near the end of the ride. It's my favorite at SeaWorld Orlando, and for a while, was the best roller coaster in Florida. I'll get to something that dethroned it a little later on. Number 6 is Mystic Timbers. At Kings Island, another wooden coaster I think is among the best out there. I guess I slightly prefer Ghost Rider, but Ghost Rider can technically be rough at times, and sometimes the roughness takes away. Mystic Timbers is smooth, but it has all the stuff I love about Ghost Rider. You go into a forest on this one, which is a very nice touch, and the airtime is quite insane. The pacing does not let up the whole way through, and yeah, I would be very comfortable calling this the first true perfect roller coaster on the list. It's just that good. Number 5 is Iron Rattler. Now I know some of you are wondering, why did you put Iron Rattler on here but not Iron Gwazi or Steel Vengeance or that sort of thing? Well, I mentioned the flaw with Iron Gwazi being restraints. Iron Rattler does not have that. The trains on Iron Rattler are a significant improvement because the shin guard is small and doesn't really even hurt. I know it's a metal bar, but it not only does its job, but it also keeps you comfortable on the ride. And the layout itself on Iron Rattler is just very hard to beat. Possibly the best first drop on an RMC, that's pretty close contention though. The inversions all are fantastic. Interacting with the quarry wall is something else. The dive off the quarry wall is phenomenal. and you have excellent inversions and airtime hills throughout, making for a very cohesive and well-crafted layout. Even the parts that are on the quarry wall people complain are slow, I did not find them that slow, and I thought it was just a pretty much perfect RMC overall. There are a few RMCs I prefer, but this one is the least flawed, and I would say, perfect roller coaster. Number 4 is Tatsu. This one I've called perfect on the channel many times, and it's kind of the reason why I made this. There is no way to improve Tatsu as far as I'm concerned. The interaction with terrain is unbelievable. It is the best layout by far of any flying coaster, and it is the ultimate combination of slow, graceful elements that really allow you to feel like you're flying, to intense pretzel loop, murderous elements that make for an adrenaline junkie's delight. It's an absolute dream of a ride, wonderful experience, and yeah, I am very comfortable with calling it the best B&M flying coaster and a top-tier roller coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Number 3 is Millennium Force at Cedar Point. I know plenty who don't like this ride, and they say forestless and all that, but with my experience on the ride, it is my number 3 or 4 roller coaster now, probably 4 now, but even though I can see where someone would not see it fitting the bill of a well-rounded perfect ride, I can't think of a single thing it's missing or I would change about it. The first drop is the best in the world, without question. The appearance of the ride is something special, starting with a view of Lake Erie, going through the forest and the frontier area, kind of being in your own section of the park. That's magical. And for elements, you have an insane sense of speed the whole way through. Airtime hills that definitely do their job, some of the first ones being floater and the final speed hill being excellent. I love overbanks, so overbank turns on this ride are great. And it is, unironically, one of the most intense roller coasters I've been on, to the point where I came way closer to graying out than a certain other Giga coaster at a Cedar Fair park that was also made by Intamin. I've talked about that before, we're not going to go too much into that, but Millennium Force is an excellent roller coaster, and I will not stop praising it. Number 2 is VelociCoaster at Islands of Adventure. Definitely nothing to improve about this ride except maybe the slightly slower pace of the first half. That's the only minor nitpick I guess I could say could be better, but there's a chance it wouldn't be better like that. So when you have the theming to match the thrills, yeah, that's a pretty perfect roller coaster. The elements are all great, even in the first half. I love the hang time and the airtime you get. The raptor turns are really fun with a theme, and the second half brings the insane elements. It doesn't have the theming anymore, but it does not need to. You get the stall, the Mosasaurus roll, and so much more. The pacing is pretty top-notch in the second half. And I especially love the top hat, the way it really gives you some time to anticipate what's going to happen. And it's a wonderful layout, and I would definitely say it's possibly the textbook example of thrill theming balance on roller coasters, and it is just definite near perfection. But number 1 had to be Fury 325 at Carowinds. There is no way to improve this apart from, as I was kind of mentioning on Jurassic World VelociCoaster, theming. But what this lacks in a great cohesive theme, it makes up for by being possibly the most beautiful roller coaster on the planet. It's stunning, the color scheme and the scale of the elements, and things like the treble clef. But the layout is definitely where the perfection really comes into play. Excellent first drop, smooth the whole way through, a sense of speed almost as good as Millennium Force, airtime moments that are significantly better, and a few unique elements that give lateral forces and a whole lot of other unique ones, making for a very different type of B&M. Many of the Hypers and Gigas are focused a lot more on the floater airtime, and while this one still has it, it has a lot more to it. Forces of all sorts, and every single force is wonderful, making it one of the most adrenaline-packed and most fun roller coasters out there. There really is not a single thing I would change about the layout of Fury 325. I consider it perfect, and that's why it had to be the number 1 most perfect roller coaster on Earth. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below any roller coasters you think are quote-unquote perfect, I know this was not a perfect list, ironically, but I tried my best. Subscribe for more theme park content. I'll see you next time.